Listen, son, to all the sons out there. You can be anything you want to be. Keep God first and love yourself, love your family, and chase your dreams. Welcome to the Listen Son podcast.
Welcome back to the Listen Son podcast. It's been a treat being with you guys going on almost a year. So definitely thank you if you've been listening, you've been following along. We thank you for taking time out your week, out your day to listen because we know you could be doing anything else, man. So we definitely appreciate it. Continue to help grow the fan base as best you can, whether that's a like, a share, subscribe, but wherever you can do, we appreciate it. We gonna go right to it. We got a good episode coming to you. Some gentlemen that I was blessed to cross paths with on this earth. Another father-son combination, and hey, we just gonna share some nuggets with y'all today. So, of course, I'm Mike Bond Jr. All right, you got my dad, Mike Bond Sr. What's up, Pop?
What's up, everybody?
All right. Then we got Gerald Sr., Coach Gerald Sr. up there.
What's up, Ed?
What's up with it?
How you doing? How you doing?
I'm good. And then we got his son, Gerald Jr. down there. What's up, my dude?
Man, what's good, man? What's good? What's good?
All right. So we got it. We got a full episode. We got to get to the people. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right to it. I'm gonna ask this question for your dad first off. What was it like when you found out? I know you probably have other. I know you have other children. But for you to have your son, obviously you named him after yourself, so it was something behind that. What feeling did you have? Having Gerald and.
Man, I tell him this all the time. He saved my life, like literally. I was 20 years old, and I was just out there wild. And the moment it's funny because I knew that his mom. I told his mom she was pregnant, and I told her what she was having.
Wow.
And she didn't believe me. He was just like, "No, I'm not pregnant." Took like 3 or 4 pregnancy tests. She was pregnant. Told her she was having a boy. Went to the ultrasound appointment, and the doctor was like, 1 leg, 2 legs, 3 legs, you're having a boy. So knowing that and knowing that, it was, my first was a boy, it was like, even before he got here, it was a proud papa moment.
Yeah.
And it was like, I knew I had to change my mindset and, get my life together because I got a child coming into this world.
Yeah. And I know, we just had, sad news. I know you just lost your dad, but knowing that, I know you had a father figure. My condolences, everybody sends their condolences. What was it like, having your father around that kind of helped you understand what you and Gerald's relationship would be like?
Well, the fact that my dad wasn't present, like actively present, is what, made me make that decision that when I have kids, regardless of distance or what, I was going to be present and active in my kids' life.
No doubt. I got that.
I didn't want them to go through the same thing that I went through growing up. Daddy say he's coming and daddy didn't show up. And, like I had expressed that at my dad's service, that when we did see dad, it was like everything else that happened, everything else, that, he didn't show up, that didn't matter. My daddy's here, So I just wanted to make sure that regardless that I was going to be not just present, but actively present.
I got you. And of course, most sons and children don't want to believe our parents had a life before us. So what were you doing? What was your path growing up? What was some interest you might have had and things like that?
Growing up, I was really big into music. I was just active. I just loved a lot of different things. Like my mind was over here, over here, over here. I wanted to play every sport. I wanted to excel at every sport. That didn't happen, but I wanted to be the best, and I followed the best. You ask me who the greatest is, I'm gonna tell you it's Mike. You ask me who the best football player is, I'm gonna tell you it's Deion Sanders. Those were my favorite, athletes growing up. So it was like I would watch on Sundays, and when the Bulls had games, I would watch and study what those two individuals did And when I had a free moment to either get on the field or get on the court, I was trying to emulate what I saw, when I was
Right.
watching them.
Exactly. Okay. I got you. I figured you was gonna say something like that because the apple don't fall far from the tree. My man, he got his hand in everything. But before we get to that, Gerald Jr., what was it like for you, man? I know, you told me a couple stories, but having your dad around, having him at games, having him in your life, what has that been like for you?
Man, it's a blessing because I know a lot of people, especially in the Black community, who don't have a father figure like how I have it. And, I thank God every day for him. Without him, I wouldn't be who I am. I feel like I wouldn't be here, with the lessons, with everything he's taught me. And, I'm grateful for it because it truly, it shouldn't, like, everybody deserves a father, but, I'm glad that I got one who was active and actually wants to be there. Yeah, he's guided me through a lot of things. He's taught me a lot. Like, I wouldn't replace it for nobody.
What's some of them things you learned from the man you wouldn't replace for nobody?
Man, how to just never accepting the word can't. Like, I can't he said that's not supposed to be in a man's vocabulary.
Right.
And that's always stuck with me. Just how to get it. Cause we've been through the mud, like real talk. And the fact that I'm in college, living out my dream, even though I went through what I went through, Pops was always there and he's still there. So, and then also how to be a father. That, one day when I do have kids, I want to emulate what my father was for me. So,
boy, I thought I missed a gender reveal or something. You almost
Nah, you ain't miss.
Yeah.
You ain't miss no.
Yeah.
You ain't nothing.
I was about to say, hey, we got the all right, I got you.
Nah, ain't
Right.
none of
Rewind.
that. I'm speaking in future.
I got you. Okay.
Future.
Yeah, I thought it was a major announcement
Hey.
as well.
Hey,
Nah.
was that a Listen Son podcast exclusive? Okay. But okay. So is it fair to say that your dad definitely introduced you to the game, to sports and things like that?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. And was that football?
100%.
I know you play football now. Was that football or was it all of them?
Yeah. So, yeah, really every sport that I have played came from him. Funny story. My first hit actually came from him. Like, he was the first person to lay the wood. Yeah, that was him. Cause I love the game, like watching it, but it's a difference between watching it and playing it. And I learned that day. So yeah, he definitely taught me that. And then just I wrestled, ran track, I hooped for a year, you know what I'm saying? So really all that came from Pops. So
I love it. I got you. Good. In one word, Gerald Sr., what is a word that you would use to describe you and Gerald's relationship?
Unbreakable.
Breakable. Okay.
Unbreakable.
Lil Gerald,
what's up?
what's one word?
Oh, give me a word?
Yeah.
It's kind of tough when it's one word, but if I had to pick one, I'd probably have to say inseparable.
I got you. Okay, those some good words.
Because
Yeah, I got you. Okay, so where I wanted to say is because you brought up a good point before we go ahead and have that my dad get on in the conversation. You said a lot of people in the Black community don't have their dads around. And we know that that's a stereotype that a lot of people think that. But obviously, you got 4 people on this podcast right now, and me and you both had our fathers around. So, in a nutshell, you kind of said some good things already, but what do people not know? But just like you said, having your dad around, what did that do for you as far as confidence and just self-esteem and things like that?
So, like, everything that I do, is to impress him, to make sure, make him proud for sure. But like, when I was younger, it was really like, I was trying to be just like dad. And it also kept me in line, in school, grades, like going into high school, especially Minnesota, you have to have at least a 2.5 to be eligible to play. He told me going in, if you don't got a 3.0, you're not playing. So that was, just the standard, just keeping that standard for greatness and success. That's something that I'm blessed to have with my dad. So.
Got you. I got you. All right. We got a good introduction, Pop. I'm going to let you slide on in here.
Gerald Sr., Gerald Jr., welcome to the Listen Son podcast.
Thank you.
I'm glad to have you. This is a special episode to me because I see some similarities here in the conversation. I didn't have my dad. I met him at 25, and then there was a relationship established. But it was basically like you said, man. I wanted to raise my kids, my son, and didn't want them to ever experience what I ever experienced. So when you said that, you touch home, man. It touched home for me too. It was a passionate for me, you know. You spoke on that. Then you spoke on your favorite two athletes, which is I wish, you know, if he would have asked me, you would have said the same thing because those are my favorite two athletes. Mike noticed, MJ noticed, Mike Jr. noticed, Michael Jordan and Deion Sanders. You know, I watched them, man. I really studied them, man, and they're my favorite two athletes as well. Before I ask you questions, man, I send my condolences out to your family. Sorry for your loss. And my question would be to the both of you. I was told that you transferred, Gerald, and I want to know what made that decision, and was you satisfied with your decision afterwards?
So coming into Concordia, I was excited to go to college, potentially, live out my dream. And my girlfriend at the time, she was also with me. And like everything just seemed like it was going well so far. And then the beginning of fall camp, I get hurt. So I get redshirted. And then I was just having, issues with, my relationship. Like everything that I thought was supposed to be good going into college was just going downhill. Like, I would go to Coach Bond about it because, I really trusted him and still do. And like because at first I was going to transfer like the first semester. But then me and my dad had talked and he's like, "No, son, just stick it out for the rest of the season at least. You never know what could happen." And then I just got to the point where it's like, I'm not happy. And, I still want to play football, but I was getting to the point where I was losing love for the game. So it was like, I'm not going to sit here, and not play football. I'm going to go somewhere else where I'm actually going to get my opportunity. Am I satisfied? Yes. I feel like it was the right decision for me. I'm happier now. I actually have that joy back and that love for the game that I had going into college. So to answer your question, yes, I'm definitely happy that I transferred because things are working out better.
Okay. Gerald Sr., this is for you, man. You know how sometimes our sons come to us and like you said, he came to you about transferring. How did you feel about it? And, I know we have, I know myself. A lot of times I'd be like, son, we're going to stick this out, man. And I heard Junior speak on that a little bit, but let's stick it out. Did you want to long-term continue to stick it out, or where you decided, okay, let's go with this?
It's exactly like you said. When he first came to me, prior to him giving me the particulars as to what was going on,
right.
I knew he was frustrated with the shoulder injury from camp and being redshirted and not being able to play, and I just told him, I was like, stick it out, just keep going. It's going to come. It's going to happen for you. Just, see it through.
Right.
I can't say had because that's past tense, but I have a good relationship with Coach Vaughn. I thought I had a good relationship with, Coach Courier and some of the other coaches. And I told him, I was like, you got to stick it out. And then I reminded him of his freshman year of high school.
Okay.
He was ready to quit he was like, Dad, I don't want to play football no more, because he was used to being a starter when he was playing for me. And then he got to high school, because he didn't know anybody and he was a new face, he had to ride the bench. And even though he was better than the kid that was ahead of him, he just wasn't feeling not playing.
Right.
And I told him then, was like, look, we're not finna quit after 3 games. You're going to finish the season. Right. After the season, then if you still want to quit, we'll explore other options. But we're finna finish this because you made a commitment. We're going to continue with the commitment. And then if you still have this same feeling once everything's done, then we can let it go. And then me and him bumped heads on the transfer thing.
Okay.
Like we really like bumped heads, and it wasn't until he really gave me the grit of what was going on and how he was really feeling, and I could see it in his eyes that he wasn't happy with what was going on, and it just certain things that he had told me weren't fitting his moral fibers. It was like, okay, then let's explore it, But it was like at the beginning, I was like, no, we're not. That's not how I would, came up. That's not how I brought you up. That's not how we conduct ourselves. We don't
Right.
just because we face some adversity give up. We fight till we get to
Right.
the
Right.
end of it.
Another question, Gerald Senior. When did you meet Coach Bond, and how has that relationship been for you?
I think I met him at the camp they had. I think that's when I met Coach Bond. It was at the Concordia camp, and they had a different DB coach there when G had got recruited,
Okay.
and then I think he went to a different school or something. And when we came in, they was like, "Yeah, this is Coach Bond. He's a DB coach. He's also a psychology major, this, and this." And I'm like, okay, psychology. I work, in mental health. I work with level 4 kids. So I was like,
Okay.
all right, cool. And ever since then, the relationship has been awesome. Like I seen Coach Bond at the Fraser Clinic after Gerald had made his decision to transfer, and it was like nothing had changed. He was like,
Right.
"Hey, coach, come on, sit down next." We sat down, we chopped it up. Listened to some good coaching from the NDSU coach, and the relationship has been awesome. Actually, about to go into business together. Work with each other, help get high school students ready for college and college students ready for the pros. Whatever sport that they're wanting to go into. So yeah, the relationship has been dope. That's the best way I could say it. I look at him like a brother.
Okay. Gerald Junior, what about yourself, man?
So I met Coach Bond. So actually, so I met Coach Bond at like the recruiting visit that they did because they would bring us to I met him at a game. I met him at the game. They were playing Upper Iowa, I remember. And I met him, chopped it up for like a little bit, but then once I got, really in, and then we had the recruiting visit, that's when we really got to chopping it up and really getting close. And then as the season went through and progressed, I was always hitting Coach Bond up. We was talking, and since then, like my dad said, Coach Bond is like a big brother to me. Like when I was going through what I was going through at Concordia, he was like the main person I was going to about it. And he was giving me the real, but he was also just having a ear to listen, and that's what I needed at the time. So that we've been real tight, and Coach Bond's like family. So like I tell people that are still at Concordia, like if the whole coaching staff was full of Coach Bonds, I'd still be a Golden Bear, straight up.
Wow.
So
Okay. Okay.
Appreciate that. Can I ask him a question? The fact that another coach was recruiting you and wasn't there no more, how does that play a role in the process for athletes? Having that coach that recruited you, we see it all the time at the higher level, at D1, but we don't really pay attention to the impact it has at the D2, D3, NAIA level. So what impact did that have on you by not having a coach there that recruited you?
So when I was first being recruited, I was being recruited as a DB, and the DB coach that was there, was really interested in me. And like, I think like a week or so after I had gotten offered or something like that, he had found a different coaching job. So that was like, okay. But then the main coach who was recruiting me, like right after I committed, like a month or so, he ended up getting another coaching job. So it really like messed with my head because like, dang, did I commit here for no reason because the coaches that brought me here aren't here anymore. Like it kind of like threw me for a loop. I'm like, nah, the rest of the coaching staff is cool. They really rock with me. So that's what I was thinking. But it definitely messes with a recruit's head when their coach is in there, like that brings them in. leaves, it's like it hurts. I'm not gonna lie, because you build that relationship, and then all of a sudden they leave. And I get it's for their family and it's beneficial for them, but the recruit, it's hurt in the end. So
from a parent perspective, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I kind of, when I found out that Coach Jones had got the Northern Illinois job, I was like, hey, well, why don't we see if we can get you go there, because he's the one that, was the initial the first point of contact for Gerald to Concordia, and we had built a relationship with him. So it did kind of sting to know that he had went on to somewhere else. But at the same time, I did feel, I was happy for him because, when you're a coach, you want it, your goal is to go to another level, go to the next level. And it's like, okay, I'm happy for him, that he made it to that level. But it was like, we bonded, like me, you, and him. We bonded at GameWorks, doing the basketball shoots. So it was like, I was like, all right, man, this finna be, for the next 4, and then to find out that he had got the job somewhere else, it was like, all right, like, man, he's like, I'm gonna miss that dude, I'm gonna miss him.
Shout out to Coach Jones, man. We recording this episode, and I know some information, but I can't. That will be a Listen Son exclusive, but we can't put that on the recording right now. But shout out to Coach Jones. The man is a great coach.
Shout out Coach Jones.
Shout out Coach Jones. Dad, I didn't mean to cut you off. I know you had another question.
Gerald Senior, recruitment. We heard some young men talk about recruitment. How was it for you guys, and do you think it was exhausting for Gerald Jr.?
Because we got to put some respect on before
it was exhausting for him.
Before they answer, we got to put some respect, because I see on Twitter this week it's a lot of letters going out from dudes playing in the Minnesota All-Star game. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we got a young man that played in that game. You understand, Gerald was not just a starter. This man was an All-American in the state now. So we got to put some respect on his name. But you said it was exhausting.
I know it was exhausting for him. I mean, it was exciting for him because it was, for me, from, my perspective, just watching him go through the process and walking through the process with him, because he allowed me to. Like, I didn't pressure him to, give me any information. It was just like, boom, Dad, here, look, Dad, can you come? And there was some visits I couldn't make it because of work, but I could tell that it was exhausting for him, but I could also tell that it was exciting for him because he's like, people are noticing the hard work that I'm putting into this. There was like Iowa. He had got an offer from Iowa, and they came to the school to visit him at Armstrong, and for I think they were redoing the field or something, so he had to do the drills and stuff that they wanted him to do in the gym. And, I asked him, like, so how did it go? He's like, oh, I think it went all right, but, you can't get that, actual feel for doing drills and stuff that they wanted me to do in the gym. And not long after that, they pulled his offer because they had 2 kids that had left, that had transferred, that were coming back.
That was Bemidji. I didn't mean to cut you off. That was Bemidji. Okay.
I know something happened with Iowa, too, and it was just like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, I didn't really want to go to Iowa anyway, just because I'm an Illini fan. That's the ops, so that's the opposition. I'm a fighting Illini fan, so it's like you in the Big Ten, Iowa Hawkeyes. I don't like the Hawkeyes, type thing. So on that tip, I was like, I'm glad they rescinded, but I could tell the hurt, when when they pulled their offer, or said that they were no longer interested, and then when Bemidji State pulled their offer because of the recruits coming back or the transfers coming back, I could tell that it really affected him, because he was interested in Bemidji State. That was one of the schools he was interested in, and for them to pull that offer like that for somebody who had decommitted, but now they want to recommit, it was just like, that was, to me, in my opinion, that was a low ball.
What about you, Gerald? I'm gonna let you answer the question. We're speaking on you. How did you feel?
So, in the beginning, I was geeked. Like, got my first offer from Mankato. I was excited, because like I said, hard work had finally paid off. Then, schools just kept coming in and in and in, and like, it started getting less interesting because a lot of them were saying all of the same thing. It was like, okay, like, you just telling me this just so I come to your school, but like, are you really trying to build, me as a person, as a player? Like, are you really trying to help me grow, or you just want me as a, spot in your roster? And, there were some schools who were like, oh, it's no pressure, but then would like apply pressure or be mad if I didn't like do what they wanted for them,
Right.
rather than me doing what's best for me and my family. And, it turned me off to a lot of schools, but yeah, it was fun though. It definitely was fun, just having, like, I'll be in class and like, oh, George, you got to go down to the athletic office. There's a coach here. That was fun. I got to, see different coaches, from all over, but it had its bad times too. Cause, I just would like, it's a big decision to make.
Yeah.
And I'm still in high school trying to decide my future. And it was tough, but it was fun at the same time. So.
Okay. All right, son.
Hey, there was some good questions there, Pops. Let's pause for a slight second. Let's all gather our thoughts and gather our breath. But I want to show y'all, kind of what Gerald does a little bit, if he doesn't mind. But if you get a chance, the dude is doing actually better than what we doing over here at Listen Son. He got 156 subscribers, so we got to catch up. But this is what he does. So tune in for a little bit.
Stuff like that before touching the grinders, pins, third pins.
All right, so that's Gerald. He does a day in the life of a athlete. It's some good content on there. What I like about it is you showing dudes what they don't really see. Everybody sees the game stuff, the jerseys, the statistics. They don't see you got to get up, go find your binder, get your name card, sign the stuff, whatever you got to sign before going to the weight room. What I like is you had on your Augsburg stuff, your book bag, your colors. You showing you in the lab when it ain't nobody cheering for you. You in the lab, you know what I mean?
Yes,
so
sir.
I like that you're doing that, man, because it really show. I hope it's not just your homeboys watching, but I hope it's a lot of younger dudes in the area that's watching to understand like this is what it takes, no matter what level you go at. So go in, tune in.
I appreciate
plug
man.
yourself. Hey, plug yourself, man. Tell them where to go find the content.
Go subscribe to Gerald Shepherd, student athlete. Show some love. I got a video dropping next week, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, I'm gonna give y'all a little sneak peek of what it's about. Basically, it's just showing because we started our season or whatever, and we got a COVID test. So I'm just showing y'all the process with that and just with everything. So make sure y'all go check that out when it drops.
Good. Okay, so we want to go to something else. I had to plug you, Gerald. I had to.
That's love, man.
Yes,
love.
definitely had to plug you. But one thing that I want us to talk about, one of our hot topics, seeing how we got cats on here from the area, and I'm gonna pause it. Actually, hold on one sec. Okay,
I'm back.
Good. One of the things I wanted us to talk about, seeing how we are kind of Minnesota family, was this big day that just passed. So let's hear about the news clip a little bit.
Bowl champion this month. Number 18 did it in his rookie year in the NFL with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. WCCO's Reg Chapman spoke with his parents.
Inside all Minneapolis public school buildings, teachers, staff, and students celebrate the accomplishments of Tyler Johnson.
So they were showing like highlights of him and videos of him all day. So it was pretty cool.
Tyler's dad, Tyrone, works at Sheridan, where they honored the former North High Polar for being a part of a Super Bowl champion team.
It's a blessing to be able to be in this position right now, to see my son do what he loves to do and then be acknowledged for it.
Hashtag MPS TJ Day went viral as many shared stories of Tyler, his family, and the community that has and continues to support him.
With me and Tyrone coming from Minneapolis Public Schools, it's amazing that they are honoring what my child has done.
Lucretia Johnson, Tyler's mom, gives credit to MPS.
He has had amazing role models from the teachers, principals, the counselors, coaches, and so, it really does take a village, and we have to acknowledge those great people that have been in his life to help guide him.
So I'm not from the area, but I would imagine that if you got somebody from the area like Tyler is, that's doing big things, man, that got the day named after him, even though he's a Buccaneer, we let that slide. That had to be big for the community. So, Gerald Jr., talk about that, man. You probably seen him growing up, I would imagine.
Man, look, Tyler. So I used to work out with Tyler back in middle school. I used to work out at North. So he used to be there. And I always looked up to Tyler. Like, dude has been cold in everything he's done, real talk. And, just seeing one that he made it to the league. And then he got a ring, this rookie year, being from the crib like that just shows me that I could do it. And I could do anything that I put my mind to. Yeah, it's definitely dope. I brag about it. Like, yeah, I know Tyler Johnson. Like, when I first got my letter to go to play for the All-Star game, he commented on Facebook, like, keep working. And I was okay. That's how I know he's watching. And, it's got to keep the growth, keep going. So I'm definitely proud to be from the North Side and having, Tyler Johnson, I'm proud. I'm proud.
Gerald Sr., seeing something like this, what does it do for the community and, something like that?
It's definitely a morale booster, especially with the fact that not too long ago, about 10 years ago, they were trying to shut down North. They were trying to close North, and to see the fact that he was a part of that freshman class that they allowed to go into North. The fact that, my son was one of the people that spoke at the school board meeting to save North, to see that, somebody from the North Side, people that I know personally, that I've coached against.
Right.
I coached against Tyler Johnson when they were in youth football. I coached against his dad. I've actually chopped it up with his dad when I used to drive school buses when he used to work at Sojourner Truth. So it's like, these are people that I know, personally. It may not be a deep personal connection, but I know these people. Whenever I see them, it's like, it's always love, it's always respect, even though our colors never match, our jerseys never match. Right. The one thing that we did connect was at North High. I graduated from North in '99. I played with Coach OA. I graduated with OA, and just to know that, I may not have been a intricate part of that process. Just knowing that if we wouldn't have went down there and marched, protested, stood up at the school board meetings and demanded that they kept North High open and did the other small stuff, behind the scenes, we probably wouldn't have this story. Wow. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that he went to North High, graduated from North High, went on to the Gophers, got drafted by the Buccaneers, even though I think he should have got drafted higher.
A lot of people do.
I think he should have got drafted higher. You know what I'm saying? Look at all the records he broke at Minnesota. I said when he got drafted, and I was like, yo, rookie of the year. I claimed rookie of the year. We know how that went, but he got a ring. I'd rather have a ring than rookie of the year. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
You can't take that from me, you know. And I put in work to get to that ring. You know, it wasn't like I just rolled the bench and here goes your ring. You know, I helped get to that process. I played in that game, you know. So I'm very proud of Tyler. I'm proud of Tyrone. You know, that right now with them doing that, that's where my sights are for not just, you know, my son Gerald, but my other two as well. You know, somebody I know has achieved greatness. Now let's go get some more greatness. Let's bring some more greatness.
I love it. I love it. That's what Listen Son is all about. Shout out to Tyrone and his son Tyler. Coach OA. I already know that man. I need to get Coach OA on here if I can even pull that off. But I know his son is at North Dakota State. He got a ring last year. And he's pivotal in the community. So just a good all around story. And I didn't even know about the history about saving North.
Oh yeah, like that. I don't even know how I found out. Somebody called me and was like, "Yo, what are you doing tonight?" And I'm like, "I'm just, you know, hanging out with my son. Hey, if you're not busy, I need you to come over here, and they're trying to shut down North." Oh, I'm on it. I was like, "Son, we got to go. We got something we got to go take care of."
Yeah.
And he was out there on the front lines, and you know, the day that they were gonna make their decision, he got up and spoke. He's like, I didn't go to North. My dad did. He told me stories about how good a school North is. If you shut down North, you know, and I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, if you shut down North, you know, I won't even have an opportunity to, you know, even be a pope. Stuff like that, you know, is like, wow, you know, I didn't even tell him to go say nothing. You know, people are like, oh, you told him to say that? I didn't tell him nothing.
Right.
That was all him. That was all him.
Mad props, Gerald. Mad props, man. Speaking up, and yeah, that's amazing. I thought that was an amazing story. And that leads me to the next little discussion I want to have is, it seems like everybody kind of around this area stays here, you know, and not in a bad way, you know, like it seemed like y'all stay here to support each other, build the schools up and things like that. But did you ever think about going out of state for college, or did you ever support Gerald going out of state for college? You know, I know we kind of talked about Iowa, but was that ever a thought? I didn't do it. I stayed in state. So, you know, I know my dad was pushing. Some of the schools he was pushing, hey, go explore. So what was it like for you guys?
You want to go?
You want to take it or I'll
take
it? All right, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Go ahead, son.
So my sophomore year of high school, I went on this HBCU trip to the East Coast. And when I went there, it changed my life. Like I learned a lot of things about, you know, the culture, just history. And part of me was like, yeah, I'm trying to bounce. Like I'm not trying to be in Minnesota no more. I'm trying to be gone. And, you know, sadly things didn't play out that way, you know, just opportunities and everything. But I did want to go out of state. But part of me is glad that I am in state still.
What would be the reason?
I told him to go. Go ahead, son.
You said what would be the reason? What?
Why are you glad that you stayed?
Just being able to see my siblings grow up, still being able to see my family, like, because, you know, and then plus the opportunities that I do have here, like, you know, with grants and scholarships and stuff like that, just being, you know, in state, you know, help my family a lot, because going out of state probably would have put us in a deeper bind financially, and, you know, I didn't want that. So
you told him to go, and I hear it still. You hey, go. He's still like,
I told him to go. I told him, you know, was it your senior year or your junior year when you senior year? He applied to Kansas.
Yeah.
Got accepted to Kansas. Soon as I seen that he got accepted, I was emailing football coaches, you know, like, yo, this is my son, you know, sending them highlight stuff, everything like that. I was trying to get him to go out of state to experience the out of state living. When we did live out of state, he was only 5. We lived in Florida for 8 months. He was only 5 years old. So it really wasn't nothing to experience, you know, as far as, you know, being away from home, being away from family, because I was home. I was family, you know. And I was like, yo, you're a college student. Go, you know, go live, go experience things, you know, go, you know, have fun, you know, still be a kid. you know, which was something I've always preached to him, was just be a kid. You know, don't worry, Dad got this. You be a kid, I got this. And I'm happy that he's home because I get to, you know, I ain't gotta travel far to see his games. But yeah, I did want him to go to another state or, you know, out of state for college.
I got you. Okay. Dad, you got anything on that? What was the benefit you saw for me about going out of state?
Yeah, I was the same way as Gerald Senior. I wanted you to experience that out of state living, but I was pushing the HBCU because of, like Gerald Jr. said, man, teaching you, you know, your culture, just learning a whole lot more about where you come from. You know what I mean? So I knew you had the talent and you would make it, but you know, like I said, overall, I'm good. You know, you got a master's out of it, and I didn't have to travel far. But my main reason was basically the same as Gerald Senior. You know, to experience that. You know, you know, you guys need to do that as well. So that's where I was with it at that time.
Appreciate that. That's some good feedback. So, you know, it's good to be sometime the hometown hero, but it's also opportunities out there. You got to figure out what's best for you. And I think that's what all of us is saying right now is, you know, if there are opportunities, no matter how far they are, truly explore them, but also, you know, explore the opportunities in your backyard too. You know, don't just come back to those when you ain't got nothing else. And things like that. You know, you see that sometimes happen as well. So good stuff right there in our what was that, second quarter, I think third quarter, but that's some good stuff right there. So shout out to Tyler one more time. Let's
Shout
I
out.
was trying to find my jersey. I don't know where it's at.
I got mine over there. I got mine.
You got it. Shout
Yeah.
out. Okay. So one of the things I want to bring back up, and this is going to our next quarter, is my dad and both Gerald Senior both stated, you know, not having, you know, present fathers and things like that, knowing their dads but not having present. You guys, it gave you the extra drive to be fathers, but you know, it's not always that way. Some dudes just keep that bitterness going, and you just see the generational curses just keep going. Cycle repeats itself. Why? You know, I know it's, you know, a chip on your shoulder, and I know you guys just said that just wasn't going to be y'all, but what was some of the more motivating factors of, like, definitely, you know, I got to be a part of my kids' lives? Because you see it, you see it go the other way at times.
Forgiveness. I had to forgive my dad. I did have a lot of bitterness and resentment, and shoot, before Gerald was born, I had to forgive him because I knew that had I not forgiven him, I probably would have repeated the cycle. You know, even though my mom's, you know, she was adamant about, you know, me being a part of my dad's life. I mean, my kid's life. I just knew that I had to forgive my dad in order to be the type of father that, you know, my son looks up to, that my son wants to be like, you know. Because if I didn't, I strongly believe I would have repeated the cycle. And I expressed that to my dad, you know. We sat down, you know, after I became an adult, after I had, you know, kids of my own, and was able to have those courageous conversations. You know, I had told my dad, I was like, man, there was a point in time I hated you because I was so hurt. It wasn't that I hated you, but I was hurt. I hated the hurt. And I, you know, had took it out on you because, you know, what happened of the situation. And it wasn't until I became an adult that I found out the full spectrum as to why my dad wasn't around. You know, I just thought it was because, you know, he was loving, you know, the streets that, you know, and the stuff he was doing. And I didn't know that there were other factors that had played into it until I think it was my son's 14th birthday. It was one of those birthdays that he had that I found out what the real, you know, that happened behind it. And it didn't come from him. My mom is the one that told me, you know, the stuff that, you know, pretty much led up to my dad, you know, straying from the family.
Got you. Forgiveness. Powerful. Powerful. Pops.
I have to second that.
Okay.
I just told this story last night. It's ironic you would ask this question because it was talked about last night. The reason, young men, forgiveness is so important is that I was like Gerald Sr., angry, bitter, had hatred in my heart, man. But at the age of 25, God presented my dad to be in my life, and it wasn't my doing. It wasn't my doing it. And, you know, as far as I was concerned, I didn't want to meet him, never wanted to, never anything. But my whole hatred came because I lost my mom when I was 6 years old. So now, no dad, no mom, that's trauma. That's trauma. But I had some loving grandparents that stepped in, and thank God for them. It was my sister and I. So, but also God put, you know, like uncles and cousins in my life to, from, you know, where I can see where you still can be positive. But going back to my dad at 25 years old, I had so much buildup that when we finally got together, once everything was said, and you know, I'm talking about tears, I'm talking about snot, I'm talking about I'm 25, I'm grown now. And I mean, he's got to be 50 something, you know what I mean? Well, 40 something. So at that time, you know, he's telling me his side of the story, I'm telling him my side of the story. But I didn't realize when it was all said and done, all that I was carrying a lot of baggage, man. And once we talked and got all of that out, and I realized, man, you know, I was carrying a I was carrying a lot of baggage, brother. You know what I mean? So, and I'm like Gerald Sr., I probably would have did the same thing. But what happened at the age of 25, everything was released. So you wasn't born yet. So what that did was prepared me to be the man that I am today, to motivate me to be and have the passion to be a good father to not only my kids but to my son. You know what I'm saying? To teach him how to navigate through this society and be a strong and positive Black man in society. That's what I wanted, and be hands on. And at 25, I also discovered, you know what? Now that I have forgiveness was more for myself, you know. So now I said, okay, what I'm going to do with this is make the best time out of this, because I missed the first 25 with him. So whatever God had planned for us for the duration of my life or his life, I'll make the best of it. And as you know, son, that's what happened. There was forgiveness. There was also we got a strong bond behind all this, and you have to be open for forgiveness. And Gerald Sr. was right. You have to be open to forgiveness, and once you forgive, it makes you a better man as well. So I lost my dad. Matter of fact, this month, March 28th, will be 5 years. So, but my wife and I end up taking care of my dad, you know, as far as feeding him and taking him to his doctor appointments. And I even had friends, man. I even had friends to say, man, how can you do that? He wasn't there for you. But what y'all don't understand is that was 20 when I got him at the age 25. That was back then. We was forgiven. I forgave him back then.
Right.
And all that was even up until he got sick. My dad said, "You probably still mad at me, son." I had to tell him I wouldn't be here if I was mad at you. That I left that all at the age of 25. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So forgiveness is huge, man. It's huge. And I second what Gerald say. I really do.
Yeah, I asked that question because I know y'all, you know, I know you can say, yeah, I'm gonna be present, I'm gonna be take care of my kids, but I know it's a process that has to go through, you know, a young man has to go through when you dealing with, you know, something like as impactful as that. So I'm glad you guys gave forgiveness and the stories behind it, you know, because that might help somebody watching this episode. So moving on, next topic. It's All-Star Weekend, and it's an untraditional one. and we finna be wrapping up after we discuss this. But first off, best All-Star memory so far. Before we go into what we about to talk about, anybody got a favorite NBA All-Star memory before they go ahead and get out there and get loose in Atlanta this weekend?
For me, man, it was it wasn't so much the game that I'm talking about. It was when Vince Carter was in the dunk contest that year.
Okay.
I don't know what, I can't recall what year that was, but he put on a show.
Okay.
Also going back to when Gerald said about Mike, when Mike and Dominique, for my, in my age, when they had their dunk contest, Dominique and Michael Jordan, that was awesome, So them was great, memories that I have of the All-Star.
Okay.
Just a few of them that's on the top of my list.
Any of the drills ready?
I'll say any of the All-Star games with Mike, they were always epic. Any of them, all of them. It was even the last ones, like him going against Kobe. That was, it was like the passing of the torch. What I'm saying?
That's a good one. Yep.
But I would have to say, I was a little disappointed because Mike had retired the first time. I actually got to go to the All-Star game in '94, I believe, because it was here in Minnesota. That was the year J.R. Ryder won the dunk contest and everything like that. Just being like that whole atmosphere is ridiculous. Like the whole weekend, it's just like we just had the Super Bowl here a few years ago, and that was because of the snowstorm and the blizzard and all that. It was in my opinion, the highlight for me was when my son went to that football camp. That was the highlight for me for the Super Bowl weekend that year. But as a kid in middle school, getting to go and see every All-Star in person play ball and, do the dunk contest and all of that, that was epic. So I would have to say the '94 All-Star weekend here that was here in Minnesota.
Okay.
Shout out to Ann White Middle School for sending us too.
Bet. Nice. Gerald?
For me, so with my dad, I'm young, I'm the youngest on this call. I did go back and watch like a lot of the old dunk contests. But if I had to say one I've seen, it was the Zach LaVine versus Aaron Gordon dunk contest.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I feel like Aaron Gordon should have won.
Yeah.
That was a dope contest. Yeah. And then, so my favorite rapper is J. Cole. And he was in a celebrity game in 2014. Don't quote me on that. But just seeing him in that, and then also that dunk contest was dope too. So
yeah. Shout out to Cole, man. Me and Gerald, we definitely are in tune with that. And we got to get to a dream, man. We got to get to a Dreamville concert one of these years. But to stay on topic,
I'm coming too. I'm a Cole fan. Thanks.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Hey, we got some memories with the Bond, man, with Cole too. That was one of his songs. The Cold World Sideline Story when Pops was dropping me off to college. So yeah, but to stay on topic, fellas, because we can turn this into a Cole episode and then we lose the viewers. We lose them. But to stay on topic, mine would be the 1997 All-Star game, and people gonna be like, dude, you was 4, you tripping, stop it, But what my pops did was recorded it for me. He recorded the Packers in the Super Bowl, and we ain't talking about DVR recording. We talking about VHS recording. So growing up, I was able to put it in the VCR, and this was the All-Star game where you got Penny with the Magic, Jordan, Vin Baker from the Bucks was in it. Kevin Garnett was still with the Wolves, and it was epic. What I'm saying? I don't know where they were, but I know that it was some ballers in that All-Star game in '97, man. Gary Payton on the Supersonics, and I was able from my childhood to go watch something like that. So that was really the start of me knowing dudes, where they played and their history behind it, because I had access to something like that. So big shout out to you for taking the time out to record that for me. And I don't know if I took it from you or if it was your collectibles or you really set it that way to pass it down for me, but it ended up being in my possession all during my childhood. I wasn't watching cartoons or nothing like that. I was watching Super Bowls and All-Star games to stay quiet and
That's right.
to stay out of
Mhm.
trouble. So appreciate that, because that's one of my
Love it.
memories. Going
Mhm.
into that though, I want y'all to read something. Hey, while I'm pulling this up, was it meant that way for you to leave that behind to me, or did I jack you?
Oh yes, son. Oh
Okay.
yes, son. You didn't. It was passing this torch.
Okay. All right. Good. So I want y'all to
I can't see.
read something, or I'll read it. Okay.
Okay.
It says his emotions have been worn thin because in the past 18 months, it seemed like he had lived a lifetime. In 2020, he was the first to discover the dead body of his cousin and personal chef. An aunt died from cancer. A family friend died of COVID. In the early months of 2021, a cousin was killed in West Oakland. And then last Thursday, the day before the Lakers game, Lillard learned of the shooting death of two people in his inner circle. If I'm not mistaken, the part that's cut off, it says shooting deaths of two people in the inner circle. All right. So in my opinion, Dame is not only an all-star, he could be up for some MVP talks too. But we got somebody that's playing as an all-star MVP, top of the game, definitely putting on for Oakland in that area and things like that, going through something, right? Reading this, first off, how does this make you guys feel when you read like this is something that an NBA, forget all that, a man is going through? You know what I mean? So when you look at it, how does that make y'all feel?
It hurts. I can relate, especially having it hit all at once, right before Thanksgiving, lost one of my semi-pro players. Still trying to figure out the cause of death on that. It's some suspected foul play behind that. The day Christmas, or not Christmas, but Thanksgiving night, my pops goes into the hospital, for COVID. We didn't know that till, that weekend, but he called me, he said he was in the hospital, he said I asked him what was wrong. He said, they still trying to figure it out. Wake up Saturday morning to find out that, he tested positive. It was, I called him the first couple of days, but then, it was like I was just texting him just because I wanted him to get his strength up. I wanted him to, keep his, the energy he had. And that Thursday before he passed, I was like, "How you doing?" He was like, "I'm on course." He was like, how much longer you got?" He said, "A week." I was like, "All right, cool." So I'm, in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna get my dad back. I'm gonna go see my dad when he get out, because I know with COVID we aren't allowed to go to the hospitals, to visit and everything, or else I would have been there day one. I was excited for him to get out so I could talk to him about bigger, faster, stronger, and everything like that, and run some ideas past him on that. And that Monday, my brother sends our family chat a message saying that he just got off the phone with the hospital, and they said he was gonna be 100% dependent on the ventilators. And then a couple hours after that, he's talking about daddy ain't gonna make it. So that was, it was like, how, trying to get the answers. Like right after my dad died, I lost an uncle and two students that I worked with for the last 3 years, like back to back to back. Like it was just all happening at once, and it's like where's the let up? When is this going, where is this going to end? And it's just, that's a lot to process. So, I feel for Dame. My heart goes out to him and his family and his teammates and, his circle, his community, because that's a lot to deal with, especially on the mental health. That's some stuff that definitely cause trauma and definitely, make somebody tick.
Gerald, Pops, y'all got anything on that?
Yeah. My heart goes out to Dame, man. He's still trying to continue to hoop, but that's a lot. It's a lot, man. And some people couldn't continue to hoop after that, but some people process it differently. And he's out there, and don't think that he's not dealing with it. It's tough, man. Death is tough anyway. And similar to Gerald, 5 years ago, I know I told you a story about my dad, but I also told you that we got close. So when the doctor is basically saying that you got to make some decisions here, and when they start giving you the advice that he's not gonna make it, and start trying to give the sense of processing it, it's tough. If you didn't know the story, you would have seen the reaction of myself, like my dad was in my life all my years, because it broke me, man. It tears and like I said, all that was forgiven at the age of 25. Then a year later, his significant other, she passes. So that was tough again. And then right after that, my auntie, his sister, passed. So, like you said, it was like going through a funeral after funeral after funeral, and you got to be strong, try to be strong for the family, and you got to try to keep it together yourself as well. So it's tough. Death is always tough. But I like I say, my heart is out to Dame. All that's tough, man. All that's tough. So I'm gonna pass it on, Gerald Jr., man. It's tough.
So yeah, like everybody else has said, heart, my condolences and everything to Dame. I also feel Dame, losing my grandfather was tough, because he's always been there. I've always had my grandfather in my life, But one thing that really hurts the most is my sophomore year, and Coach Bond knows about this. My sophomore year, I remember I was getting ready for this big game. We were playing our rivals. I was excited. And I come home, and there was a mother figure of mine. She wasn't my biological, but she was there for me. She was a teen mom while I played with her son in middle school. So like that became my brother. That was Mom. And I came home, and, my dad was like, she passed. And like when he said it, it didn't hit me. I was like what? And then all of a sudden, I sat down, I got to thinking, and I couldn't do nothing but just let it out. And then the next day at school, it was still on my mind heavy because it was fresh. And right before kickoff, I broke down. My whole body just shut down. It was raining, and she carried me through that game. We won that game, and I feel like it was because of me. I caused the safety. We won the game. But, I feel like I wouldn't have been able to win that game or even play that game without her carrying me through. So I definitely feel for Dame. And, I definitely understand, because you still got to do what you got to do, even though you're going through all these obstacles. So, I definitely understand. And, like I said, my heart's out to Dame as well.
I appreciate all y'all for sharing some vulnerable stuff, and just the way y'all own little snowball effects have happened as men. And one of the hot topics this week, in general, not just this week, but we've been seeing a lot this week because of I Am an Athlete podcast and what they put on in the platform of this week about getting basically men to check in on each other and talk to one another. And, how come we don't do that and things like that? And, it's masculinity, is boys be tough, it's all that stuff. But I think with this right here, having your dad, having a son, having that relationship is a way we can start to normalize that. Gerald, it's on us too to check on these guys. They just because they're parents, it don't mean that they always got to check on us.
Yeah.
I got to make note that March 28th, I need to check on my dad, make sure he good, and things like that. And just like he does for me. So I think that's where we can make some progress is the father-son relationship, making sure we check on one another. Not just sons, fathers checking on their sons, but sons also checking on their dads, and having healthy days and things like that, where we, the outings that we have shared through sport, we continue to share as grown adults. So that's just my advice on that. I'm pretty sure you guys shaking your head, so I'm pretty sure you guys agree with that too. If we normalize checking in on our dads or checking in on our sons, that eliminates that stereotype that, men don't check in on each other to help each other through tough times, because Dame could definitely use that right now. But just like Gerald Sr. said, he going through it, and he could use it too. All right. So let's just make sure we do that. That's why I brought it up. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be in the All-Star game. I don't know. I don't know if he pulled himself or whatever, but you know, going through a season and playing through that, what he's going through, and what I just read, I know that's got to be tough.
Yeah.
So
It's
shout
tough.
out, shout out to any young man going through something right now. If you don't have your dad or you got an uncle or grandfather that you could check in with, come to one of us, and we wholeheartedly mean that. You know, we help you. We listen. We'll be there. So that's the way we want to end this. You know, just father, sons check on each other. Pops, go ahead.
Before we get to the Listen Son segment, I want to also state, we said this numerous times, forgiveness,
Yes.
redemption. Gerald Sr. spoke on it. You have to get the big picture. You know, as he learned, there was a bigger picture. As I learned, there was a bigger picture. As days went by and months went by, I realized my dad was a great man, you know, but it was a bigger picture that I didn't know growing up. So I thank God that we got redemption and there was forgiveness. Young men don't carry all that pain and hurt and feel that there's not an opportunity to get through this, because you can. You can. Just forgive. Forgiveness is for you.
Love it. So just like my dad said, all right, we're going to do a Listen Son message at the end. That's how we end all the shows. So Gerald Sr., I'm going to ask you to go first, because you can give a Listen Son message to Gerald, or you can give it to all the sons across the world, where you just say, hey, listen, son, and you just give them some advice. You just give them some nuggets, a quote or something that you want them boys to take with them. Before I let you go into that, I'm going to let Gerald Sr. go. And if Gerald Jr. want to give a Listen Son message to his peers, because we know that that's the biggest mentorship peer-to-peer, I'll let you go too, but I'm going to start with your dad.
All right.
Never quit. You know, you're going to face adversity. You're going to face, you know, tough times. You know, it's not about the tough times. It's how you respond and how you get back up, how you know, face it. Also, understand, me as a father, fathers aren't perfect. We make mistakes. You know, it's up to us to learn from the mistakes and teach you to be better and push you to be better than us. You know, I feel that. And do you mind if I show a picture of my dad?
Go ahead. Definitely don't mind.
This was my pops, Stephen Shepard Sr. You know, he wasn't the most perfect man. He wasn't the, you know, what people would say as an ideal, whatever you want to call it, but with his flaws, he was perfect. In his flaws, he was perfect. What I didn't see and what certain people didn't see was he was able to affect and impact a lot of people. So my dearest son moment is, or what I say would be, it doesn't matter what you have material wise, but how you can be an influence and impact somebody for the positive, which is going to be your legacy. And it's all in how you create it.
Ooh, that's powerful. Gerald, you got something?
Man, how do I follow that?
You always gonna be following Pops, so get used to it.
I know, man, but no, I just say, you know, speaking to my peers, be you. Don't ever be yourself. I know we still finding ourselves since we young, but you know, don't ever be afraid to be you. Don't ever be afraid to try new things, because you never know what can come from the opportunities that you put yourself in. If you just break out of your comfort zone and achieve whatever you think you can achieve. That's really all I can say about that.
Thanks once again, my fraternity and sorority of listeners of Listen Son podcast. Please, women and men, please like, subscribe, and share. Continue to support our goals to connect untold special real life stories.